Thanks for joining us for another European Athletics podcast. My name's Hannah England. I really hope you're enjoying all the athletics action this summer. There's been lots of action from European athletics. We had the team championships in June, and we've just had the European Under-23 championships in Espoo, Finland. If you want to relive either of those championships, head over to allathletics.tv and you'll find all the content then. We've also been streaming a whole load of one-day meetings with European athletics. These have appeared on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can go back and relive some of those events as well. And just to mark your cards, the next one of those one-day meetings is the Meeting International de Athlétisme de Marseille. That's taking place this Monday, the 17th of July. It's a World Athletics Continental Tour bronze event, and we're going to have English commentary on that from Matt Seddon. There's a whole load of good events, and when you look through the meeting records for this meeting in Marseille, you're going to be sure it's going to be a good one this year as well. In today's episode, I caught up with Wilma Murto of Finland. Wilma Murto, thank you so much for joining us. You are double European champion indoors and out. You're one of the best pole vault women in the world. So thank you for giving up your time, and it's going to be great to get to know you a bit better.
No worries. It's good to be here. Thank you.
So my first question is, how did you get into athletics?
So I'm from a very small town in Finland, only a few thousand people living in then it was Kuusek, I was part of a bigger city, but back then it was only a few thousand people. So there weren't too many options. I think it was quite obvious that all the kids went to athletics. So I went to kind of the smallest kids that went in were 4 years old. And so were I. My older brother was already in athletics and I joined him at the age of 4. It was just an obvious choice, and my family is very athletics oriented to begin with. So I didn't really have an option, I think.
Are you pleased? Yeah, do you think it was the right sport for you? Are you pleased you chose it?
Looks like it is. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. I've tried other things. I've done basketball, I've done dance, I've done gymnastics a little bit, but it's always been secondary. Like the first thing I always did was athletics, and that was my thing from the beginning.
And pole vault is it is a very specialist event. It's very niche. Like, why pole vault?
My mom started studying to be a coach. So she went to a course and they had a day of pole vault in the program. And my now coach, Jarna, taught them pole vault that day. And he also told my mom that he's doing like pole vault schools for kids. And my mom thought, oh, I have a 9-year-old kid who might like that. So she brought me in to the little group that Jarna was doing. So then I feel like once I got into pole vault a little bit, everything else just felt very lame to me. It's a little bit more extreme. It's a little bit more exciting. And once you get in it, it's very hard to go back to just running or long jump or anything else, even though every event is hard in their own way. But I don't think you can really match the kind of extreme of the pole vault.
No, it is extreme, like mentally and physically, isn't it, pole vault? Like all the technique,
Yeah.
You were doing that technique high up in the air. I can see why it'd be attractive.
Yeah, and it's also very kind of every time you get a little bit higher, it gets more exciting, and the more you get into it, it just gets better all the time. It doesn't get boring. It doesn't get kind of mundane. It's very exciting from the beginning, and it doesn't end.
So women's pole vault globally is very competitive. Is that something that excites you, or do you kind of wish it was maybe a bit easier?
I think it's very exciting. I think that's been a conversation or a question I've been asked a few times lately, and a conversation I've had a few times lately about the comparison to men's pole vault right now, where Mondo is the biggest star in the whole sport. And it's kind of a Mondo show every time there's men's pole vault. And I find that it's exciting to watch men's pole vault, but at the same time, kind of the competitive side of women's pole vault has an edge. And I find it very exciting going towards Budapest and World Championships, and you really don't know who's going to win. You don't know who's going to take the medals. There's a lot of candidates for those spots. So I find it very exciting. For me, I don't want it to be easy.
And it's fun the way it's so international, isn't it? We're very strong in Europe, but obviously you have the American women, and it's a good mix. Yeah, it's a nice mix of nations as well.
Yeah, it's very spread out right now. It could be even more. I feel like some athletes are not quite in the level they used to be. They would be even more global, but it's very, very exciting and very kind of broad spectrum of women right now. So it is exciting. It's good to be a pole vaulter right now, I think.
Yeah, so I was looking through your stats and everything. So you were a very, very good junior. You know, exceptional, 471 at 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've mentioned it in other sort of press interviews and stuff, but yeah, that success at 17 is phenomenal. It's still the world junior record. But was that a sort of a double-edged sword, like being so good at such a young age?
Yeah, definitely. At the same time, maybe the first thought I have about it is that it's a blessing to get that result in such a young age. It opened so many doors and gave me so many opportunities to be a professional athlete from such a young age, and it gave me the opportunity to become better. So in a way, it just held me on, but at the same time, it was very hard to kind of wrap my mind around that happening at age 17, especially in Finland. Finland is very much an athletics, a track and field country. So if there is a 17-year-old who does the world junior record, it's quite a big deal. And it doesn't maybe make it easier to kind of handle it as a young kid.
And you know, you have come through it. It took you maybe 5 years to jump higher than that, but you did. Yeah, you did manage that. You have transitioned from a junior to a senior. Is there any advice you'd have for other youngsters? And particularly, there are phenomenal youngsters in Finland again at the moment. You know, if you could talk to 17-year-old Wilma, like, yeah, what would you say?
I would just say that there is no rush to be anywhere. When you're 17, or like in my first Olympics, I was 18. I was like nowhere near ready to perform at my best at those kind of stages. And I was very stressed about not being ready enough or good enough or just ready yet at that point. So I think just reminding myself that I don't have to be ready. I have time to learn. I have time to kind of go through all the phases before I can be a real professional adult senior athlete. And it doesn't come just like that. And it's not just the result that makes you good. It's also learning about it's a job. So you're learning to be good at your job. It takes time. It's not just the result that kind of makes you an athlete. It's everything else surrounding it as well. So having more patience and being maybe kinder to myself, to not expect myself to be ready when I'm really not yet ready.
So do you feel like, so 2021 Tokyo, you came fifth. Mm-hmm. Was that a real sort of season where you felt like you got back on track?
Yeah. A few years before Tokyo, I already felt that something good was coming. But 2020, 2019, 2021, I had quite a few injuries. I had a knee surgery. There was I feel like I was almost there, and then I hurt my knee, and then I was almost there, and then I broke my foot, and so many things happened that kind of slowed it down. But I feel like Tokyo was one of the moments that I realized, okay, now we're really going in the right direction. Going into Tokyo, I didn't qualify with the standard. I was in the ranking. I was in the lower half of the ranking. And then coming out fifth, I really felt like I can manage tough situations and make them good. Go against expectations and go against the odds in those moments. And I feel like that was my first big moment of I can really handle these things, and I can come out at the other side.
How much of that was, that getting back up to 470s? Yeah, was it a combination of mental and physical? What was it that led to everything sort of coming together with that success in Tokyo?
I think if you look at a lot of elite pole vaulters kind of progression from junior to senior, it's very common that they peak at young age, then they kind of slow down, their like results go down before they build it back up. So it's not a very uncommon thing to see. So I think I just went through that. So it's kind of, it was both mental and physical. I mean, mentally, I feel like I've become a lot more stronger competitor since I was a junior. Like as a junior, I don't think I really excelled in the spots where it mattered the most. So even though I went into World Junior Championships as a kind of, everyone thought I was going to win and I was third. I didn't really kind of perform at my top level when it actually mattered. So learning to compete, learning to kind of handle that situation is one big thing that has made me better. But also a lot of everyday things in training. I've become stronger, I've become faster, I've become better at pole vault. So I think it was a combination of a lot of those things.
So yeah, 2021 was brilliant, that fifth in Tokyo. And then you made more progress last year. Yeah, can you talk us through your summer last year, sixth at the World Championships and then going on to Munich?
2022 was a strange year for me. So I started that year in January with a broken foot. I landed funny in the box in a meet in France, end of January, and the whole springtime was about me rehabbing my foot and first starting to walk and starting to run in the beginning of the summer. In June, when I really already wanted to make good results, I was just happy to be pole vaulting and competing because I wasn't sure if that was going to happen. It was in no way an ideal kind of preparation for the summer. So I feel like in Eugene, I was getting into the shape I wanted to be, and it was going surprisingly well. But I think I just wasn't quite ready yet. I felt a big jump in me, and I feel like you can see it in a jump I did in the final from like an attempt on 470. It was a high jump. I just took the bar down on my way down. And I really feel like I jumped 460. It was my season best. I was sixth in World Championships, which is great. It was my best performance in like major championships by then. But at the same time, I felt that there is more and there is something else coming then, that there's a lot more in me. So that month from Eugene to Munich was the month I needed to kind of get to the shape I could be at that point. And I feel like in Munich, everything just, it just went right. I really got everything out of me that I had, and it happened in the right moment, and everything was fun. It was great.
Well, it certainly did. Yeah, you added 13 centimeters to your personal best, to your national record. Yeah. But it happened, for that to happen through the competition. One jump was a national record, then the next jump was a national record. Yeah. In a high pressure situation with a high quality field. That's phenomenal. That you get those special moments in sport where someone is under that intense pressure and they look like they've mastered their event. And for me, that's what you look like in Munich. Was it? How conscious were you that you were having kind of the best night of your life, or were you trying to just get over bar by bar?
I think it's a combination of both. I think before the final, I felt very confident, and me and my coach talked about like there's no one you can't win. It's not said that I'm going to win everyone, but there's no one you can't win in that competition. But at the same time, the main job you have in the competition is focus on the next bar. So coming in the competition in 440, that 440 bar is everything you have, and you can't think past that point. So kind of staying focused on the task at hand. Just the next bar is the only job I ever have is the next bar. So I feel like I kept my cool quite well. Even though I was excited, I felt like I have an opportunity to kind of show what I have, but still kind of staying present and focusing on what I really have to do. So I think it was a combination of both.
Yeah. Well, no, it was awesome. And I think I've said it to you in the past few weeks. Like for me, you are such a big time performer. And you put yourself in those championship environments, that's when we see you really come out fighting. why is that? Why is it for me that you can get, do you agree that you get your best out of yourself in a championship? And yeah, so don't let me, if you think that's right, why? But I might be misinterpreting.
Yeah, I think I get the best out of myself right now in championship setting. I'm not sure why, and it's not always been like that. But in the past few years, I feel like I've grown into a championship athlete. It would be great to also do that sometimes out of championships to get the most out of myself. I feel like if I had to choose, I would be a championship athlete that kind of peaks in the high pressure environment. There's been a lot of like mental work behind it. Kind of, I get a lot of adrenaline when I compete, and even more when I'm in major championships when I know it matters. But I feel like before I couldn't quite handle that kind of physical like adrenaline in my body. I was just not focusing. I was not using it for my advantage. It kind of messed with me more than it helped me. So I feel like nowadays using it to my advantage more. I have more tools to kind of calm myself down when I'm just feeling like, oh, just let's go. I'm way too excited. So kind of learning to use that as a boost, not just so it doesn't just mess with me.
No, I think that's probably true of all people competing, isn't it? There's that surge of energy and that surge of adrenaline, but in a technical event like pole vault, that's another can of worms, like a load of adrenaline when you're really sprinting along with the pole. Like,
yeah, you really have to learn how to control it. It can really mess your technique. It can mess your run. It can mess everything if you don't know how to use it, I think. So it's been a big skill to kind of learn how to use it for my advantage.
Yeah. So if we move on to 2023, European Indoor Championships in Istanbul. I think you were the first Finnish woman to ever win a European Indoor title. I think I remember that stat coming out in Istanbul.
I heard it afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear.
Well, what was funny, I think Rita. No, I think Rita Herska, you beat her to it by a day or so. Yeah, she won the hurdles as well. But you were the first. But I guess my question was, was it hard to get motivated for indoors? You had a long, very successful outdoor campaign. Were you very motivated for Istanbul? Was that hard that in January, February to get motivated for that?
Yeah, I was quite motivated. I feel like I expected to have a bit more pressure. Like winning in Munich, I thought it would make me more kind of anxious, kind of feeling like I need to win again in Istanbul. And I didn't quite get that. And I was surprised that I didn't feel like that at all. I felt like there was just a weight lifted off my shoulders and I could do what I wanted. In Indoors 2023, I struggled a little bit before Istanbul. I was trying out new poles and it was really not working out too well for me. So just in Istanbul, I went back to my old poles that got me gold in Munich and it worked out quite well. But I feel like I had just zero expectations because I was not very tuned in at that point. So I just went in, tried my best. I really felt like I have a big jump in me and I'm in a good condition, so I can jump high. Tina Schutte had been very, very strong in that indoor season, so I was a little bit scared of Tina. But I feel like the championship environment I don't know what it does to me. It just lights a fire in me. And it worked out quite well. I didn't take it as like given that I would make another 480 performance, but I was very, very happy to do it. And I like I said, I didn't know it beforehand that no Finnish woman had ever won gold in indoor championships, indoor Europeans. So that was a bigger deal than I expected. But it was very, very exciting, and I was very excited about it.
Yeah, and I think I'm curious, when you have these competitions in the rest of the season that are below what you're capable of, and your limit. How do you put those in a box and forget about it and not get worried and take that sort of no, I don't want to say disappointment, but maybe if you're underwhelmed with your performance, Istanbul for me, yeah, I wasn't surprised that you won because of what you did in Munich, but to be able to kind of push away January and February is forget about that. Yeah, does that take a lot of effort to kind of wipe the slate clean and start again?
I feel like it is another kind of mental skill that I have worked on quite a bit, is about like, especially pole vault, when you can't really do a lot of reps on your like full big, like I can't pole vault as much as a runner can run. I might do 10 to 15 jumps a week, which is not a lot of jumps to do your event. So it's been a skill that I've learned to kind of find the confidence in something else than the actual pole vault. So even if I'm not jumping well, if I'm not getting good reps in before a major championships, or I'm not competing well, I try to find the confidence in something else. Usually for me, I feel like if I'm running well, if I'm feeling fast, if I'm like some like reactivity or kind of jumping tests we do, if they're going well, I can kind of lean on that more. So I know I'm physically capable of doing what I need to do. And I know I can't pole vault when I want to. Like I know how to do it. I'm just not doing it right now. So kind of leaning on something else than the kind of pole vault in itself kind of helps me with like confidence going in, even though the odds might not be in my favor or my previous competitions have not been that great. So yeah, not relying totally on just the pole vault to find the confidence.
And that feels like something that's probably impossible to master at 17, 18, 19. You know, we talked about you having this fantastic, performance as a teenager. I don't think there's any way it takes time to develop that, doesn't it? To that resilience.
Yeah, and definitely I haven't been the kind of strongest, fastest athlete at the age of 17. I didn't have as much other things to lean on except for just pole vaulting. So I feel like now I have more strengths than I did when I was 17, and I'm happy that it is like
Yeah, definitely. And I think something that's always interesting for me as a fan watching pole vault, you guys are down there on the track together for 2 hours.
at least.
Is it intense? Is it friendly? Is it, I mean, because I used to run 1500 and we'd have our 20 minutes in the call room.
Yeah.
But it's not as intense as what you guys go through. Like, you have so long together. What's that like?
Yeah, I feel like that's what makes pole vault the best event. I'm biased to say that, but I really think the pole vault is the best event just because we have to spend so much time together, and we do get really friendly. It's very nice atmosphere to be in. Let's say Lausanne last week, there were 3 of us in the comp, so me, Eliza McCartney, and Katie Moon. Feel like everyone was jumping well. It was a very tight competition, but every time someone had an attempt, the 2 others were clapping and like saying, "Oh, you got this," and it's not pretentious. It's like they mean it when they say it. They really do wish good for their competitor, and I think that's why I love pole vault so much. Is also that kind of atmosphere we have. But it would be very hard to be in that space for 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes if it wasn't friendly.
Well, I'm relieved to sound, because it looks friendly, but I'd always worry that it isn't really. But that's good if it is.
I feel like it really is.
That's good. So outdoors, we're here in the outdoor season 2023. How's the season going so far? And we're not that far away from world champs now as well. So how's all that panning out?
It's going well. I feel like I tend to start a bit slow. So coming in 5th of May in Doha is very, very early for me, and I started from 4:30. This is not ideal, but I think at the same time, I know my process and I know what my coach's plan is and what our plan together is. Is that in like May, June time, we just build. It gets better and better all the time. That was the plan, and I feel like we did that. So my results have gone up from the beginning quite well, and we're quite happy with where we are right now. We're just starting a little training block to get back to competing in London Diamond League. So we kind of competed a lot in June. Now we have a little break, and then we build back up to Budapest. And so far, it's going to plan, and I feel very good. I'm feeling very excited and very kind of trusting in the process we have. And I believe that, well, my coach is very good at his job, so I believe I will be at my best when I really need to be in Budapest.
Well, you're pretty good at your job as well, I'd say. But when you have quite well, pretty good. When you have the mid-season block like this, what is it you're working on? Are you working on technique or speed or strength?
We're getting in a few technical sessions. I don't really train or have like pole vault sessions when I'm competing a lot. So in June, I did not train pole vault at all. I was just competing. I had 6 competitions in June, and that was all vaulting I did. So now we're getting back to maybe a little bit shorter approach, technical, getting good reps in shorter approach to kind of build towards the big jumps in August, and also kind of maintaining maximum strength, getting some speed work in, because if you don't train it in between, it just kind of goes down a little bit at a time if you have a over 3-month competing season. So kind of getting the building blocks back to kind of build the Budapest.
And when you look at the other pole vaulters in the world, you know, what's your specialist skill? Like, what do you think your strength is in your technique that can make you go so high?
I rely quite a lot on speed. I'm fast on the runway, and also getting that kind of horizontal energy to my pole is my strength. I feel like after I leave the ground, I don't do anything exceptional compared to anyone else, but I feel like it's the run, it's the takeoff. And I feel like my kind of takeoff, like pole vault plant takeoff technique has been it's kind of, how do you say it? It's in the back of my head, and I can't lose it anymore. My coach has taught the same thing to me since I was 9. So I just can't get it wrong anymore. I feel like that's my biggest strength in the pole vault. There are more kind of gymnastics, acrobatic pole vaulters, and they're better on the pole, but I feel like I'm better on the ground, and that's my strength that I'm leaning on.
So do you think if you guys had a 60-meter race, you'd win?
I'd like to try.
I always think this, you know, you should have a whole shot put field. Yeah, do your 6 rounds and then a bonus point for a 60-meter race. Like, we should do that with you guys as well. Like,
yeah, 60-meter race for sure.
Yeah, the winner gets a free pass at 470 or something. If they won the 60 meters. Yeah. Yeah. A bonus 4th attempt. Yeah. I'll put it to World Athletics. It'll probably be a no, but
we'll see. Great.
So next year's super cool. There's World Indoor Championships, European Championships in Rome, and of course another Olympic Games. It could be your 3rd if you go to compete. How are you looking ahead to next year? There's a lot going on.
It is exciting. It's going to be a big year. I'm really hoping to be happy, healthy, strong athlete for the next year and a bit to be at my best in Paris. That's something I've always told myself. Like if you asked a 15-year-old me, like, it's like when I'm going to be at my best, I would say like I'm going to jump 5 meters when I'm 26 in Paris. That's been my answer for the past like 10 years if someone asked. So, and I feel like I'm on the road to that quite well in sport. Like nothing's given, nothing's for sure, but I feel like I'm building the blocks towards that goal that I've had for a long time. So I really hope that goes that way. It's very exciting. I'm very excited about the next year and a bit.
No, I think it could be great. I think it's tricky with the Europeans and the Olympics, and maybe sort of a double peak. Do you think that's something you could achieve? Like, or do you maybe use Europeans in June? Would it be more of a sort of, not a training exercise as such, but a building block for Paris?
Yeah, it's definitely like a second priority. It's not the first priority next year. It's all about Paris. But at the same time, like for me, being a defending champion going to Rome is not a small thing. So I'm really hoping to do well in June as well. It is a tricky thing for us. Like, I don't really usually compete as well in the beginning of June as I do at the end of the summer and when it's the major championship time in like August time. But again, my coach is very good at his job, so I feel like he has a plan for me and I'm trying to execute that as well as I can. So maybe we're going to start competing a little bit earlier, getting ready a little bit earlier, and also getting a bit of a training block after maybe June, end of June, something like that. We'll see. We'll see how that plan goes. But it is a second priority, but I don't take it lightly to be the defending champion going to Rome.
Definitely. And finally, just to finish, I'm interested in what you do away from the track. How do you fill your days when you're not training? And is that to do with trying to switch off and relax? What's your passion away from pole vault?
Oh, I've never really had a hobby. I feel like a lot of times it's said that it would be good for an athlete to have a hobby. I've never really had one. I feel like athletes are quite good at doing nothing. Like when they're not training, they're kind of like, I enjoy not doing anything. I might like see my friends, go see my family, and not really have an activity. I can just hang out. I'm really good at just hanging out. But I actually did start a month ago. I started painting a little bit. I'm really excited about it. So I might say that's a hobby of mine, but we'll see if that's so in like a year. But that's a new thing I'm trying.
Is that something? Yeah.
It's been good to have something to do that is not, I'm not painting because I want it to be good. I just want to do something and not just scroll Instagram and look at other people doing things. I want to do things. So that's been a good thing to kind of, it's a mindfulness exercise at the same time. Kind of, it makes time fly. It's very fun. So I hope to keep on doing that as well. I do like my coffee as well. So, but I don't think that gives you like, it takes a half an hour a day maybe. So it doesn't really pass the time too much. I enjoy coffee. I enjoy good food, and I enjoy the painting that I started to do.
I was like, if you can't accept coffee as a hobby, I think all elite athletes would be, we have to count coffee as a hobby.
Yeah,
that's okay.
You're right.
Yeah, else all elite athletes across the world will kind of go, that's my hobby. But no, painting sounds fun. That sounds like a lovely way to relax, reset.
And something that has nothing to do with sports. It has nothing to do with like becoming better at anything. It's just fun to do, and that's the only goal I have in it, is to have fun with it. And that's good.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Wilma. Thank you for all your answers. They've been great, and we wish you all the best for the rest of the summer, this 2023 season, and into next year.
Thank you so much. It was fun.
I really hope you enjoyed that interview with Wilma, and a big thank you to her again for giving up her time. She's certainly a really exciting athlete to watch for the rest of this summer and into the 2024 season. If you did enjoy the interview, please remember we've got a couple of other ones that we've recorded over the past few months. Howard Bentful Ingvaldsson, the Norwegian 400-metre runner, and Larissa Iapicino, the Italian long jumper. We also caught up with Sarah Lavin when we focused on the European team champs, and she went on to win a bronze medal in the 100-metre hurdles at that event. Those interviews can be found on the European Athletics YouTube channel under podcasts, or on the European Athletics Spotify channel. So head over there if you want to listen to either of those episodes. And just a reminder, keep your eye on the European Athletics website. That will be the best place to see all the live results from the one-day meetings that we're going to be streaming over the coming weeks. Thanks, and see you next time.